What's going on, everybody? It's Nick Kosko here with our Jersey Flight interview series. This is part 10, our final one of the summer. I'm pleased to be joined once again by head coach Terry Foster. And coach, we'll have to start right out with obviously the unfortunate news that the NAL season has been canceled for the 2020 season due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So preparations for the entire league are beginning for the 2021 season. I know there was a lot of talk as to how to make the season happen, whether it be an accelerated schedule. You have maybe 6 regular season games and then 2 postseason games, or just play the entire season without fans. I know there was options on the table, but unfortunately, there was really no solid way to go about it in terms of making it productive for everybody and profitable for the league in some respects, which we could dive into, of course. But I just want to start out with what was your initial reaction to the season being canceled? I mean, did you have an inclination that it was going to happen? Or were you holding out hope until the end where with all these potential options?
Well, with all of the work that the staff and, yourself and myself has put in going into 2020, I was holding out and I had the hope that we were going to be able to play. But deep down inside, I kind of knew, as time was passing and as, the pandemic was becoming, more and more prevalent and the spread, and then with everything else that started happening throughout the nation, it kind of just it kind of was certain that it was going to get canceled. There was the biggest thing was waiting on the government, and waiting on the government, the arenas, all of the teams' venues couldn't give dates. So we started running out of time waiting on the arenas. I think even on the last call, if I'm not mistaken, there was only one team that had an arena that was with dates and everything was going to be set to go for the potential start date. We had conversations on going to 10 games. Then it went to let's go to 8 games. And, and it was, maybe we can do it all in one location. Several ideas flew, but nothing was really going to be economical for all of the teams. And it just wasn't a situation to where we wanted to put any of the teams out by themselves. So, that's kind of what we basically went through. And then the decision was made that, it was best to go ahead and cancel for this season and start prepping for 2021.
Yeah, so you pretty much answered my second question anyway about the potential plans of a shortened season. You mentioned it's a 12-game season. You have regular playoffs, but then the plans were discussed for 10 games, even 8 games. So realistic. I mean, I'm assuming just because you were waiting on the government, and I know at least in Jersey, Governor Murphy approved the resumption of pro sports. So obviously, teams like the Sixers and Flyers in their respective leagues, they can resume their practices in their Jersey locations. The Giants and Jets can do the same thing at the Meadowlands for the NFL. So, I mean, you had the approval to practice, but was there any – did you guys even – you guys probably weren't even able to get together because when you guys are practicing, you do have to go indoors into an arena like the Cure Auto Arena to go practice. So I'm assuming even though pro sports were given the okay to resume, you guys I don't think got together and practice, did you?
No, we still didn't have the guys travel because the league never made a decision on when we could actually start. Our league in the NAL, you have to start 2 weeks prior to your game. So with us not having a start date, we couldn't bring the guys in and start camp and things of that sort. And then, there were still some things that we needed to make sure were straightened out for the guys before we bring them in. You want to make sure that everyone's tested and quarantined before we bring them all together so that there's not a chance that the COVID gets passed throughout. And then just to set up the parameters for, what our bubble would look like, so there was a lot of things that still would need to be worked out before we could have had the guys come in. And even with the practices that when Governor Murphy said, we could start back practicing, there were still some restrictions that make it tough for us playing football. There has to be contact. How can you prepare for a contact sport without making some contact?
Right.
Our huddles are a lot different than other huddles. We're all right there together. We have to call the plays. So, there were still some things that we would have had to get ironed out. And then they still never opened it up for the arenas to allow us to have competitions in them with fans. And that's the biggest thing. the National Arena League, all arena leagues, we are a fan-friendly, family-organized, entertainment, athletic business. Without the fans, there's no business. Our game isn't the same. Other sports, MMA and those things, they can go and they can have the events without the fans there, but our game is it's needed for the fans. A lot of the things that we do inside of the arena that don't even have anything to do with football, we need our fans, and that's really one of the big things. I think one team was saying that they would play without fans, and that was Massachusetts. But as a whole, the NAL wasn't willing to play without fans.
Right, and I figured that, and just people that were curious, and I know for people that I've talked to, I mentioned that the fans are integral to any type of arena football in any of these leagues across the country. So playing a shortened season is one thing, but you figure the atmosphere of a game for pretty much all sports anyway, fans are integral to, particularly this game as well. Obviously, we don't have to get into specifics, but obviously the financial impact of having fans there obviously helps these leagues year in and year out. So I would say, you pretty much answered my question there, that fans were also a big part of the discussion. And without fans, it really didn't make it. It really didn't make it feasible to have even a short season this year. So now that obviously the 2020 season unfortunately is in the rearview mirror, earlier than expected, not in the sort of way you wanted the season to end, obviously. So what kind of preparation say again?
We should be hoisting a championship trophy.
Well, I mean that's right for all the people in Jersey out there. I mean, we know this Jersey flight team is ready to hoist that trophy this year. So now that there's extra time now for the 2021 season, what kind of preparation goes into the season now? So I know there's been obviously you really can't make predictions in terms of when's the vaccine going to be available, what are going to be the guidelines and restrictions for health from the CDC and health and safety for next year. Obviously, it's a year away. I mean, you could barely predict what's going to happen, a week from now. So obviously, some of that stuff is going to be tough to even talk about now. But I know there's been talk of possible expansion for this league from 7 to maybe even 10 or 12 teams. I know obviously the AFL last year was talking about expansion before. They were unfortunate with a really old lawsuit, and they ended up having to fold. But what are the early preparation, or what are those early steps right now for the NAL heading into 2021?
Well, like you said, first is seeing where we can go as far as expansion. I do know that most of the talks have been that we do want to have an even number of teams. So they're trying to make sure that we stay at that. There's been a couple of teams that have shown some interest that we were very excited about. That's first for the NAL, along with making some decisions on what we're going to do with our 2020 rosters. I think right now they're saying that we're going to be able to keep our players as far as restricted until October 31st. At that point, then they'll all become free agents, and that end of the business will start again. As far as free agent signing and building a roster for 2021. From the business standpoint for Jersey, it not playing in 2020 was kind of a setback because we're still going through our rebranding. There were some things that we wanted our fan base to see and the National Arena League to see about Jersey Flight. The competitiveness, the business side of things, our arena, and just the way that we plan on becoming a pillar into our community. So we still have to go out and rebrand and meet new people, get involved with new businesses and partner with them. So, it's going to be a big 2020 off season for us as far as getting out into the community, starting some new programs inside of the community, and just being there for the rehab of the community as our initial goal was.
Yeah, it seems like you kind of hit two birds with one stone there. As far as the rebranding for Jersey, you bring up an interesting point there. You mentioned it. I mean, it is going to be difficult because you guys were in the middle of rebranding from last year to this year, and this was the first year for Jersey in the NAL, which is probably now considered the premier arena football league throughout the country. It may be more difficult now, but would you say there's also some benefits to it, knowing that you have this extra time? And again, free agency is going to be one thing.
Definitely.
Yeah, free agency is going to be one thing by the time it hits the end of October and early November. where you have to maybe convince some of these guys to try again with jersey next year? I mean, some of these guys might just stay anyway because nobody played this year. But
Right.
what are the benefits to having this extra time now to rebrand as a franchise? As you know, obviously, even small things. You rebrand the logo slightly. Change from purple to blue. So when you look at the rebranding for 2021, what are some of those benefits, knowing that you can be more of a presence in the community and maybe have that extra time to build those relationships?
Well, the goal is to become noticeable. When people say Jersey Flight, we want them to automatically know that it's arena football and we play at Cure Insurance Arena. So that's one of the big things. Right now you could walk through, certain parts of New Jersey, say the Jersey Flight, and people might think you're talking about taking a flight, to Jersey or going somewhere else. So, that's going to be a big thing. And it does give us time to do that. Partnering with some of the bigger companies and, the hospitals and things of that sort, it gives us time to go ahead and do that and get it out. It's going to give us a time to show everybody what our look is. We'll show them the new uniforms. We'll show them our new helmets, things of that sort. We were for 2020, I wanted it to be a shocker. We were going to hit the field with it. They would see it, and then that would be it. But now we've got a lot more time. So, we'll start showing those things through our social media and things like that.
So, maybe just real quick on free agency, because you mentioned how these guys are going to be pretty much restricted to you guys until they hit the open market once again, and I would assume it's based on other Arena League models. The NAL, just to clarify, they run on a 1-year contract basis, and then most of these guys can choose to leave after 1 year, or obviously a lot of guys will choose to re-sign with the team, but everyone's basically on a year-to-year deal, correct?
Yes. So they're on a year-to-year deal. And one of the things that we do to try to help influence them to come back is they do get a loyalty bonus if they sign with the same team. So, that's one of the things. And that bonus actually will run out, at the October 31st date.
Is there going to be you think there might be an advantage to free agency this year, knowing that you guys, at least on paper, we've been talking about it for months now. On paper, this team was pretty stacked with veterans from the AFL, guys like from the Philadelphia Soul, obviously some other guys from other leagues, and there were some young and up-and-coming arena football players. So on paper, it looked like a championship caliber team. Is there an advantage knowing that nobody in the league played this year, and knowing that the guys you signed were like, all right, we're excited to play with each other. We got to know each other, at least virtually this all season. Is there an advantage knowing that next year, when you guys actually play, that most of these guys will end up coming back and basically just, they'll basically run it back as they say for next year?
Well, through some conversations that I've had, I think that is, echoing through our locker room. The players from our organization and from other organizations have been going back and forth at each other. So it was a lot of excitement being built up into it. And a lot of people really wanted to see if what we had on paper was going to hold true. And that's inside of our locker room and outside of the locker room. So I think we're going to be able to, get a lot of those guys back. From the ones that I've spoken to, they're excited to be here for 2021, 2022, and, beyond. So I think we've got something great going in Jersey with our staff, with the guys that we did bring in, with, like you said, the mentality of the guys that we brought in, their character guys. So I think a lot of them are going to be here. We've had guys to move into the area, get jobs, and were prepared to play in 2020. So they've moved their families there, so they'll be there for 2021. The big thing is going to be, from our coaching staff, just being able to evaluate these guys at this point. Having a year off as an athlete, if you didn't do much with that year, you lose some steps, you lose some things. The good thing for us is I don't feel like we had guys that, we're going to take that time off. We got some hungry guys that, have a lot to prove and all want to win championships. So, that's going to be the big thing, to just keep the focus, continue doing our meetings through Zoom and just personal phone calls up until that October 31st point. And, the people that want to stay, we're glad to have you. The people that want to go, good luck to you.
It's almost like the season within the season. So I wanted to switch it on to you now. So obviously with everything going on with the pandemic, obviously there's a lot of other stuff going on throughout the country with the protests and everyone's
Definitely.
speaking out about that stuff. Just real quick on that stuff. Have you guys as a team planned anything in terms of a social justice statement or solidarity? I know some teams have participated in obviously peaceful protests and marches throughout the state. Other guys have done stuff individually. I mean, did you guys have any plans to do any of that stuff, or is it kind of just like giving out the message that we stand in solidarity with everyone's feelings on this?
You know, for me, I would want to speak for what our team speaks for. As a coach, your voice is supposed to be what the team says. And the team and the same when there's something that's football echoed, it should be my philosophy through the players. Um, as far as me making a statement on the social injustice and the things that are going on right now, I stand with solidarity. You know, um, Social injustice anywhere is not okay. But as far as an organizational standpoint, I think that that'll be something that we'll come into the locker room, talk about, and we'll make decisions on how we handle it in the future. This isn't something that's going to be over tomorrow or at the start of next season. This is a continuing process on getting justice, and it's not just going to go away. So this will be something that will be here. This will be something that the league will need to address and make a stance on what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. For me as a coach, if one player on the team wants to do something and the others don't, then as a team, we'll come to a decision on what we're going to do. As far as standing for the national anthem, I've always stood for the national anthem, but I'm not against guys kneeling for the national anthem. And that's not in disrespect to the flag. It's in respect to their right to protest. Mm-hmm. So as an organization, though, what we do, we all do together. So with that being said, it became an issue to where we had guys that weren't willing to stand for the flag, we probably would remain in the locker room and pray during that time.
Yeah, so basically it's one of those things where you're going to take your time with these decisions, and obviously with I guess it's not really an advantage to having no games this year, but it gives, I would say, the league and each team individually more time to process and have these discussions and do things what they feel like are in the right way, and to do it as a unit rather than just have too many different opinions and not having that overall discussion from everybody, hearing everybody's opinion. So I think that's the best way to go about it, especially
and, we'll have guys in our locker room that want to handle things to a different degree than other guys in the locker room. And that's where the divisiveness would start, so to make sure that we don't do that in our locker room and hopefully throughout the NAL, I think that we'll use some of this time to discuss it as a league and then as an organization as well, to make sure that we're prepared for anything that can, come up as far as with the protest in those areas and things of that sort. I wouldn't be against telling our guys that I would not tell our guys that they couldn't go out and protest. But at the same time, in New Jersey, if you protest and you get caught up in a bad situation, you get locked up, you can't bond out. So there's just certain things we have to be prepared for.
Absolutely. So I'll switch it to you now. So as far as what you've been able to do in quarantine, obviously the stay-at-home order's been lifted. Things are starting to open back up a little bit in this state. Obviously, all states are different and all teams are different. So you and your family, I mean, how have you guys been able to handle over the past, since I last talked to you over, a couple months ago?
Well,
what's changed since then? Obviously, with things opening up a little bit now. I mean, have you been able to, obviously, go out more places and see a couple more people and kind of try to get that sense of normalcy back?
Well, I'm in South Carolina. It's been open here pretty much the whole time. It hasn't been as far as restricted as Jersey was and other places. But they did open the beaches and everything back up. Restaurants and things are open. I was able to go out to a restaurant, but for me, I still stay inside.
Mhm.
I do have an existing lung disease, so I try to stay away from putting myself in harm's way. So I stay tucked off and protected as much as possible, and only go out when necessary.
It's the best way to do it. Hey, that's the best way to do it. You're taking care of yourself, and obviously you're taking care of your family that way as well. So, what's next for you for the remainder of the year? Obviously, you're going to be doing a lot of prep for 2021. I mean, do you have any other additional plans as to what you and maybe you and your family are going to do over the next couple of months, knowing that the summer is open, so to speak, for other activities, but obviously you're still going to be prepping for the organization and the league for 2021.
Well, I'm kind of full time as far as with the flight being the general manager or whatnot. So me and Jay discussed that we were going to go back to work right after the 4th of July with getting us back out here and just trying to get these programs started and do some things inside of the community to, you know, assist with the youth getting back involved with sports and just becoming more involved in social activities. So my plan is to be back there early July,
Mhm.
and then back and forth a little bit, but to really get things amped up at the start of August when we bring the rest of the staff back to start working on certain things as far as the community activities, our roster. uh, we still got some things that we want to take care of for 2021 housing now, and those things, and just to touch base with all of the partners that we had already started making in the community and let them know, we apologize that we weren't able to perform for you in 2020, but 2021 we're gonna make it a lot better.
Absolutely. So I'll leave you here with this one. What's your message to the Trenton community and the Jersey Flight fan base, knowing that obviously, unfortunately, there was no 2020 season, but what would your message be to those people in Trenton and the Jersey Flight fan base throughout the state, knowing that you're looking forward to an exciting 2021?
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to thank you for your support. Thank you for all of the questions and the inquiry about what was going on beforehand when we didn't have a coach yet, and when we weren't when we first decided on being in the NAL, and just thank you for the continuing support as we move into 2021 and the start of what would be our flight. You know, so that's going to turn into our inaugural season, but I just look forward to being able to, get to know our fan base on a personal level, as far as when they see me in the community and I see them in the community, we can stop and we can talk about the team and what's going on. So, that's going to be the biggest thing for me, to get out there, get the players out there that live in the community, and become a known face around the Trenton area.
All right, Coach. Well, I want to thank you once again for joining me on our interview series with the Jersey Flight. It's been a pleasure over the past 3 months. Obviously, of course, we're all disappointed there's been no football here in 2020 for the NAL, but we're looking forward to a profitable and exciting 2021 season, and hopefully in a couple months when things are open back up a little bit more here in Jersey, we'll be able to congregate at the offices and talk about next year and talk about what we can accomplish with this great organization.
Definitely, and thank you. And I wanted to send a special thanks out to you, to Ari, to SFBN, and the people that work behind the scenes that don't really get mentioned. Send a very special thanks to you guys for all of the support and the things that you've done for us as we've started trying to prepare for 2020. I look forward to working with you guys through the off season and making sure that we have the best product out there for 2021. From the audio standpoint to video standpoint to everything that we do. I'm really looking forward to hearing you call our games. I'm excited about your experiences and the expertise that you bring to it. And I also want to thank Pastor Woods, who from St. Philip's Baptist Church is our team chaplain. He does a lot behind the scenes with making sure that I'm taken care of well down in Trenton, and also Lori Danko. Lori was the first person that I met once I took the job, and she pulled me in under her wing and she pointed me in the right directions. And I look forward to being able to continue our relationship and grow into a much stronger one, so that Jersey Flight can definitely be here and be a pillar in their community. So thank you to
Absolutely.
everyone that's, been around and helping out. And we look forward to partnering with you. Go Flight.
Absolutely. So once again, thanks to head coach Terry Foster. Thanks to the guys behind the scenes, Ari, Josh, and Harrison, for helping us put this all together over the past couple months. And obviously, we'll be working together as we approach for next season. So that's going to be it for me, for us. Thank you to all of my guests that are coaches and players for the Jersey Flight. We'll hopefully see you back and better than ever in 2021. I am Nick Kosko. So long.